So we've just had this month's Women's Hour, Boundaries Without Guilt, and what an incredible bunch of women and such wisdom. Um, we all had many different occasions and places and people with whom we were perfectly capable and able to make boundaries and recognize the importance and value of that, both in respecting ourselves but also others, and how actually, when we're boundaried, people know where they stand with us, and certainly children, but also in the workplace and in other situations. When someone is clear about their boundaries, even if we don't like the boundaries that they're making, it does feel comfortable to be around that person. We feel like we can trust them. We know that they're being honest. Um, and we all also had many situations where placing boundaries was harder. For some, it was with an elderly parent or with our children who really know how to push our boundaries. It could be particular situations, like when we're tired. Many of us felt like it was harder to keep a boundary when we were tired. And there are some for whom it's almost become part of our persona, our personality, that we say yes to things. And there is a lot of, we talked a lot about the pressure on women to be there, to be caring, to not be people pleasers, but certainly to kind of be accommodating and do and help and care for whenever we can, and how that can be a lovely thing to be and do. And many of us make choices at times to be that person in someone else's life, whether it be a friend or a child or a parent or in the workplace. It's great to be someone who can be of help and of support to others. The trouble is when we say yes to some of those requests, when really it needs to be a no, for whatever reason, whether it be that it's outside our remit, or actually by saying yes, we're not really genuinely helping the other person, or we are so overstretched that in fact we do it with resentment or in martyr mode. And then actually it's not of benefit either to ourselves or to those that we are hoping to be there for to help. Um, and how we recognize that making a boundary is an act of self-worth. And what woman hasn't struggled with feeling like she's worthy at times? That's natural and normal. But if we are find ourselves beset by a low sense of self-worth, then actually creating boundaries is a way of increasing that feeling of worthiness. When we behave as if our time matters and how we feel and what we want to do matters, that actually nourishes a sense of self-worth. So when we're feeling low in self-worth, creating boundaries and saying no is a way of feeling better, actually. Um, but it can take work. You know, we also acknowledge that we all have times where it's harder than others, and there'll be a good reason for that. It doesn't necessarily mean that we don't make the boundary, even if there's a good reason for making it. Like we're frightened of upsetting someone, or we're frightened of the response, or we want to be seen to be a good parent or a good colleague. That's not a good enough reason sometimes to not place that boundary, even uncomfortable as it might be. And actually, then we talked about how being in community, having the support of others when making difficult boundaries is really essential. And that's partly what Women's Hour is for, is that we come together as women to support one another, to be a community for one another, so that sometimes we need to get others help us to give ourselves permission to create a boundary. So we finished with a sense of, I think, greater clarity about the importance of placing boundaries, the cost of not doing it, but also how important it is for our children to see that women's lives aren't just about serving others, that we serve ourselves too. If we want to show our daughters how a woman's life can be, we need to live it. If we want to show our sons what to expect from the women around them, then we can model that. And part of that is being able to take good care of ourselves, to manage our own energy levels, to say yes to the things wholeheartedly that we want to say yes to, but also to say no to the things that we wholeheartedly want to say no to. So Really fantastic time. There was such wisdom amongst the women. I learnt a lot. And we would love to see you at another Women's Hour for another shared community conversation.